Okay, so whenever you have a season where the Mythic Plus timers are generally on average pretty lenient with you being able to time the key with a lot of time to spare, more often than not, you're able to push higher key levels and reach a point where the survivability threshold is what's going to hold you back in a lot of instances. And we kind of saw this in Dragonflight Season 1 with a lot of the dungeons where the timer was, mostly lenient, but survivability was the big limiting factor in a lot of these dungeons. Making sure that you stayed alive was going to be the most important thing. That has kind of stayed true in Dragonflight Season 2. And if we look at the Dragonflight Season 2 Mythic Plus dungeon pool, if you just think about it, there are a lot of these timers that are giga free, and making sure that you stay alive is by far the most important thing. If you even think about things like Neltharian's Lair, the timer is very lenient, but if you die or wipe at any specific point, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Brackenhide Hollow has something similar where your ability to be able to live and kill the totem on the final boss is mostly what's going to be holding you back in that dungeon. And same with like Neltharis, same with like Freehold, same with Underrun. So a lot of the dungeons this season are like that. And you might be asking yourself, what does this have to do with embellishments? But let me get there in a second. Whenever timers are super lenient, survivability is going to become the most important thing. And that has to do with what I'm going to be talking about with embellishments today. Because the Undulating Sporecloak is, I would say, an underused but overpowered embellishment effect. And this is for DPS and this is for healers. Both of these roles can wear this Undulating Sporecloak, and you do lose a little bit of damage output, but you gain an absolute ton of survivability. And so what the Undulating Sporecloak does is whenever you're above 70% HP, you heal, and this number says 3,000, but the actual number is 10,000 every 5 seconds. So you're getting about 2k HPS at 447. And then whenever your health drops below 30%, the cloak gives you a 250,000 HP shield. And so, like I was talking about earlier, a lot of these dungeons, their timers are super lenient. And so wearing something that is defensively this strong, whenever you already have enough DPS to be able to time the key, is very valuable for your ability to be able to stay alive. And there's a lot of situations where this is just incredibly, incredibly potent. If you think about like the third boss of Halls of Infusion, just the passive 2k HPS on your player is really good. And if you ever proc the shield, and the shield's on a 2-minute cooldown, only on a 2-minute CD, if you ever proc the shield, that's a 250k HP shield for 10 seconds. And that helps you also not get like two-shot by mechanics, or if you think about the lizard boss in Uldaman, if you get that bleed on you and it drops you super low, you're not going to immediately die to like the stomp or the next tick that's coming out, because the Undulating Sporecloak is going to save you. Now, the drawbacks of this is, especially as a DPS, you're going to be losing a little bit of DPS. Overall, though, this is going to be fine in most Mythic Plus situations. You shouldn't be running into too many issues in regards to damage. More often than not, survivability is what's going to be limiting you. And that's why I crafted the Undulating Sporecloak. This is going to be actually one of... I suspect that a lot of people are going to be running this during the TGP just to be able to stay alive and continue to push the highest level of keys. Now, at a certain point, they might actually swap to a more damage-oriented thing if they believe that they can have the survivability. But in regards to learning at the very beginning of the expansion, committing a spark on the Undulating Sporecloak is absolutely phenomenal and definitely one of the top-tier embellishments. And I think that, like, if I'm recommending people who want to be pushing some of the highest level of content or pushing for like that rank 1 title, I think the Undulating Sporecloak is an absolutely top tier embellishment and something that a lot of people should be playing, as it is overpowered yet underutilized. Okay, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.